welcome to another brand new episode here on 1950's Farm. So as you can tell, we've jumped forward now. We're in the spring of the following year, so it's now 1952. So this was a fairly big year for Harry. His son Hank was born this year, later on. And it's also the start really of the first year that he begins to start going out and sort of on his own. Although he does still work for the dairy in 1952, by the end of 1952 that is gradually coming to an end. As I say, I've done some winter I've done some I've done some winter contracts, and as we go through, that does slowly become more and more and more contracting, and then eventually we get to the point where I'm assuming that the dairy had said to Harry, look, you're not really ever here. You're more than busy now on your own. It's time to make it on your own. So by the end of this year, as I say, Harry, is starting to really go his own way. But for now, he still works for the dairy, and when that does happen in real life, we'll carry it on the dairy, just because I do enjoy it, and also as well it does bring a variety of jobs. Although when Harry of course becomes a contractor, that will a full-blown contractor, that will also bring a variety of jobs as well. So we'll sort of do real life, but we'll also have a little bit of creative freedom in there as well, just because I think I would be right in saying that you guys are enjoying the dairy and the work and different things, so there's no reason why we can't sort of do the two together. As I say, from sort of 1955 onwards, the dairy explodes, it goes off, it's unbelievable. So there's I think it would be quite interesting to sort of kind of see that in game if we can, if it's all possible. But as I say, I've completely forgotten what I was going to say then, sorry. my gingerness strikes again. It just completely disappeared. Never mind. So as you can see today, we're out in the field and we're planting the corn today, and we're out on the John Deere A along with our colleague, who is also out on a John Deere A and also using one of the new cultivators that the farm bought last autumn in readiness for the planting of the wheat. The wheat looks really good. I did take the liberty off camera of spraying it all, so now the weeds have been sort of sorted out completely, but I have also now given it its second dose of liquid fertilizer, so that is now fully caught up with. As I say, today we're concentrating on the corn, and then after that we will be doing the soybeans to my right, and then we'll also be doing Harry's soybeans too. One thing I didn't do, because obviously I've played through the winter months, because the cows still need bedding, feeding, mucking out, and all of the above. So I've played through the winter months, but the one thing that I didn't do was I didn't get Harry's beef stock on the farm, so we'll sort that out as well. I did keep the bales. I kind of got so engrossed in sort of looking after the animals or the cows and the dairy cows, and sort of mucking out every day, and making sure the feed was there, the straw was there. We have now pretty much I think we've either pretty much used up all the silage, or we have now used up all the silage. So that's now pretty good. As I say, we bought two, or the dairy has bought two new grass fields, ready for um, producing their own hay. Uh, the hay wise, because I use the silage, I've not used as much hay as what I sort of kind of feared, but that as the year goes on, that will go down obviously, and it might even be because I didn't do the animals yesterday, in terms of game day yesterday, and I'm not that sure that I did the animals the day before either, because I spent some time preparing, um, ready for spring, and part of that getting readiness for spring was spraying the big wheat field, and that took probably about a day and a half, computer wise, about a day and a half to spray that field. So again, the sprayer is not got a huge capacity, and it was a lot of running backwards and forth from field to farm to fill up. So I sort of did that off camera, but as I say, I always sort of like to bring you in for the what I call the sort of proper field work, getting the corn planted as we are now, then the wheat, then the soybean, sorry, and then we've obviously got Harry soybeans to plant as well. And I might, because I still undecided a little bit, but I might even plough up some of the big grass field that we've got and make some of that cropping as well, and I might even give Harry some corn. I think, as far as I understand, it is what he did do. He had a fairly big field of grass, and he did, as much as I can kind of understand, and sometimes it's not very easy to understand, and also as well, I have this thing where I can read perfectly well, but I don't always understand what I'm reading, and I can't always tell you what I've read, and so it's a sort of a bit of a battle, because I'm sort of trying to read and get it all, and then and then understand it as well, and just sometimes that kind of falls through. I was asked by PA Ploughboy um, what round baler they used on the farm. Um, I think, if I remember correctly, you think it may have been an Alias Chalmers, if I've said that right. It doesn't actually say, or if it does say, I can't find it. What round baler they used, but interestingly enough, the baler. One thing I don't know whether I've said this before. I may have done, and I may not have done. But the baler was actually a shared thing from the dairy and Harry. So the dairy, being already established, didn't get as much money as what Harry would have got, in the terms of Harry was not registered as farming. So he was registered with having land, but because he wasn't actually farming that land. Yes, he was clean. Not much has changed in life. He was he was using his land to sell hay, but because he wasn't actually, I don't know whether registered is quite the right word, but he wasn't declaring it, basically. So what that essentially meant was, as far as in the eyes of the American government, he was therefore not farming, and he was entitled to the full amount. Now, Harry bought the round baler himself because the dairy had a square baler, a small square baler. Now, I think when I originally set this up, I had either sort of read that and not really taken it in, or for whatever reason I'd read it, taken it in, and dismissed it because Harry bought a round baler. But as far as I can see, it doesn't say which one he bought. So I am still sort of reading, going back, reading, going back, and sort of trying to do that, as well as obviously keeping up with recording and everything else. And as I say, not to sort of go on about, sort of when I was younger, but with my heart condition, I had a really big stroke that paralysed me for a couple of years on my left side, and part of that is that the stroke affected the right side of my brain, and that's the reason I'm told by my specialists at St Bart's that I struggle with reading, understanding, taking in information, and just general kind of like being, well, there's no other way to put it, and I don't really mind if people laugh at me, it doesn't really bother me, but being, sort of a bit slow. And it's so sometimes what you can do in a day sometimes takes me a month, but I can get there under my own sort of time and steam, and that's sort of all I've been doing really. But yeah, so that's kind of what I've sort of found out. Um, but yeah, no, as I say, we're still going strong on the save, and it's interesting to see. It will be interesting to see in game what some of those changes will actually look like. In terms of, like, in a book, I can't really picture it, but in game I can sort of picture it better because it's a physical thing that I can see. Um, rather than having to see it with my mind's eye, I can see it with my actual sort of eyes, and then I sort of can understand then, what them changes will sort of mean. I didn't do that very good. Sort of mean in terms of how the farm and the landscape, if you like, changed. But yeah, so as I was saying, the dairy being already established and Harry not declaring, the dairy didn't get nowhere near as much money, and or nowhere near as much in grants as what Harry got. And so because Harry already worked for the dairy, they kind of agreed that they would share buy a few pieces of equipment. Now the John Deere A's, one of them, if I've understood this correctly, one of them on the dairy had a front loader, and they were able to use that. So the forklift that I'm using purely because it's the closest thing that I can find that's around back in the day that will fit onto the tractors, because I put a front loader on the Ford A, and all that happens is it just tips forward. Even with a weight on, it just tips forward, or if it doesn't tip forward, it then is just very slow, and it's not a good watch. So I've kind of sort of used a little bit of my initiative and gone for a forklift that is not out of place because they were around. Yeah, so that's why I've done that. But that was another thing that they bought. So they sort of bought a front loader for the John Deere A. So when we come to just sort of kind of not being as active down here on the dairy farm, we will still be down here because, as I said, we'll carry on with the work and things, because it is, I love using the combine on there, and as I say, it is a computer game, and while I don't want to go completely away from real life, I don't mind a little bit of, as I said before, creative freedom, where it's like, well, yeah, but actually in terms of gameplay, in terms of content, I think it benefits us to carry on the way that the way that we're doing things at the moment. So but yeah, so all that will happen is when that slight drift away comes, we will still be sharing the equipment, and and sort of doing it like that. We only just had enough seed in there, so that was quite lucky. I'm doing it kind of no headland because for whatever reason Courseplay didn't want to work today. I don't know why. I don't know why Courseplay didn't want to work on this field today, but it didn't. And I have to admit, I'm very nervous because I've got just the normal helper on the John Deere A that's cultivating, and I'm very, very nervous that he's gonna. I hope I've done a big enough headland that he won't then wander into the wheat field, because that could be quite a lot of money that we could lose in a very short space of time. But so far so good, and he's only got that little bit left, so hopefully we'll be okay. But yeah, I am a bit nervous about him wandering too far, but we'll see what happens. I think I did about 4 breeds at one end and 3 breeds at the other end. Probably, I would imagine this end would be the 4 breeds. I can't really remember what I did now. We've missed a bit there. I can't remember which end I did what, but yeah. So anyway, I've waffled on for way too long, so I'm going to do a little bit of time lapse, and we'll get back together again when we're either finished the field or a little way through, because I am conscious. As I said before, I do watch all my videos, and it has been mentioned by sort of 1 or 2 people, and I kind of sort of thought, well, it feels okay to me. But yesterday I was watching one of my Calmlands videos, and I was actually quite enjoying it, but it was like nearly 28 minutes of music, and I sort of kind of thought, that's a bit long. So I might, over the next week or 2, change the format and the way I do things a little bit. But just for today, just because of the way that everything is kind of planned and set up, we probably will do just as normal, but I don't think it'll be 28 minutes worth of music, because I don't think there's 28 minutes worth of work here, to be fair. And if there is, then you time lapse that, and suddenly that's not 28 minutes anymore. But yeah, so I will see you in a little while. Bye for now. So that was a complete waste of time fetching the roller. I was certain that this roller was a field roller, but apparently not. So that has annoyed me and also confused me, because I'm pretty certain before I used it as a field roller, but this ground texture hasn't changed from saying needing a, or needs a roll, needs rolling. So gonna have to now go off and find a roller that we can roll this ground with. If not, it just doesn't get rolled. Just, dear me. If not, it just doesn't get rolled. There we go. I can speak English. You, I promise I. So, yeah, we got the corn in. That was good. Fairly straightforward job. Really pleased that the in-game helper didn't wander into the wheat field. We'll be trying course play again now in that field, because that's the next field to be done. I'm going to get well, I might not be able to drill this one today, in terms of get it all done in the one computer day, or game day. But you know, if we get a good way over it today, I'm going to go back to using the 2 cultivators, and then the crawler will go onto the seed drill as before, and then we should be able to get the soybeans in here. I'm going to use the seed drill over the corn planter, just because that corn planter only has a capacity of 100, and I ain't getting across this field with 100. So we're going to use the seed drill. It's got a capacity of 1,000, so it should at least get me up the other end of the field and back again. I'm hoping, but we'll see on that one. But anyway, that's it for today's episode. If you've liked the video, please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. And all that's left for me to say is, I've really enjoyed having your company on this episode, and I really hope you join me next time. Bye for now.